We want to follow the chronological journey and look for the real tipping points. The moments where, the market or a new tax code just forced the whole industry to reinvent itself.
And
We had rigid whole life, then we had flexible but super risky VUL, and then the government steps in with Tamara's guardrails. The industry needed a new product, something with market-linked growth, but without that catastrophic risk.
that's the exact synthesis that led to the IUL, Indexed Universal Life. Transamerica brought up the first one in 1997. It was designed specifically to solve that risk versus reward problem inside the new rules.
So let's break down the key feature. How does it link to a market index like the S&P 500, but protect you from losses?
The IUL doesn't actually invest in the market. It uses the index's performance to calculate an interest credit. But the absolute key innovation is the guaranteed floor. It's usually 0%.
And that's where you get the saying, zero is your hero.
Precisely. If the S&P 500 goes up, say, 15%, you get a credit. Maybe it's up to a cap, let's say 10%. But, and this is the huge difference from VUL, if the market crashes and drops 20%, you get a credit of 0%. You lose nothing.
Your principal is protected.
Your principal is completely protected. You get to participate in the upside, but you are totally shielded from the downside.
So that solved the VUL risk problem completely. But the IUL also really cemented this shift away from the death benefit being the only reason to own a policy. It became life insurance for the living.
That is the major shift in how these are used.
Yeah.
Because the cash value is protected and it grows tax deferred, it's used heavily now as a source of supplemental tax-free retirement income.
How does that work practically? How do you get the money out tax-free when you retire?
Through policy loans.
Yeah.
You can take loans against the cash value, and under the tax code, those are considered tax-free distributions. You're leveraging those same IRC rules from decades ago to get access to your growth.
And the loan gets paid back from the death benefit later on?
Exactly. Or through the policy's own ongoing growth. And the final piece of this, the really critical innovation, is the addition of critical illness riders. This turns it into an emergency fund.
Right.
So it's maybe the most dynamic feature. If you get diagnosed with a serious illness, cancer, a stroke, a heart attack, you can access a big chunk of your death benefit while you're still alive.
To pay for treatment, replace income.
Whatever you need. It gives you immediate access to funds when your family is facing a crisis.
That whole journey, that whole chronological arc, it just perfectly illustrates the innovation. He went from this single focus on death protection to this dual focus. Death protection plus these really robust, tax-efficient living benefits.